My life is built on routine. Each day begins at 6 a.m., not with a gentle nudge, but with the jarring echo of my alarm through the silent streets of Brooklyn Heights. My third-floor brownstone apartment offers a view I cling to, Manhattan's skyline, veiled in morning haze, a silent, steadying constant before the day begins. On the vanity, a silver frame captures last year's Christmas. There they are, my sister, April, radiant at the center, flanked by our beaming parents. And there I am, Caroline Wilson, smiling my careful, reserved smile from the edge. Let's do our best today, I whisper to my reflection. It's a mantra, a ritual, a plea. The navy pantsuit is my armor, the styled brown hair, my helmet. As a senior manager, image is everything. In the living room, my row of herb plants offers a fleeting moment of peace, their scent of thyme and rosemary a tiny, personal rebellion against the sterility of my spreadsheets. Early as usual, dear Mrs. Johnson, my grandmotherly neighbor, is already in her garden. Good morning, the roses are beautiful. Oh, did you see April's news? She asks, her voice full of genuine warmth. Wall Street's newest star. Your parents must be bursting. A familiar, subtle tightness cinches my chest. Yes, I smile. They are. The ghost of last night's family dinner rides the subway with me. My mother's eager. April, darling, tell us about the award again. My father's pointed glance at me. Caroline, why don't you follow your sister's example? My own promotion. My successful projects, left unserved at the table, growing cold next to the roast beef. The office envelops me in its familiar, busy hum. Corporate audits, tax reviews, staff supervision, steady, reliable, honest. Miss Wilson, could you check these? Jessica, a new hire, approaches my desk, hesitant. She sees me as strict but fair. Of course, as I review her work, my gaze drifts to the window. Somewhere in that glittering forest of steel and glass is April's office. A pang of something, envy, inadequacy, flickers, but I swiftly bury it. This is my life, ordered, predictable, safe. It was a safety about to be shattered. On the rainy evening of February 15th, I hurried toward the subway on Atlantic Avenue, my umbrella tipped against the downpour. The Brooklyn Bridge was a ghostly sculpture in the mist, its cables gleaming under streetlights. Mind already on tomorrow's audit report, I stepped into the crosswalk. The light was green. Then, from the left, a roar of engine. A screech of hydroplaning tires, headlights, blinding and fast, no time to scream. A violent impact lifted me from the earth, then, nothing but blackness. My last conscious thought was not of fear, but of my mother's voice, a haunting echo. Caroline, why can't you be more like April? Consciousness returned in fragments, the sterile scent of antiseptic, the rhythmic beep of a machine, a white ceiling. Miss Wilson, can you hear me? A doctor in a white coat swam into view. You've been in an accident. You're at New York Presbyterian. You've been unconscious for about 2 hours. Pain announced itself next, a sharp, breathtaking symphony. A heavy cast encased my right leg. My chest was a cage of fire. Bandages pulled taut across my cheek. We have to operate tonight, the doctor said, his voice calm but urgent. A fracture. Potential internal bleeding. My family. The words were a rasp. We've contacted your emergency contacts. Relief, warm and faint, washed over me. Of course they would come. Then, my phone rang. Mother. Caroline? Her voice was strained. Mom, I've been in an accident. I need surgery. Yes, the hospital called. But, listen, she interrupted. Her tone hurried. Today is April's award ceremony. The analyst of the year. It's crucial we be there. The words didn't compute. Silence stretched on my end. My father's voice cut in, taking the phone. Caroline, there are nurses there. This is a pivotal moment for April's career. The warmth of relief crystallized into ice in my veins. I understand, I whispered, the words ash in my mouth. The line went dead. The silence they left behind was louder than the machines. With a trembling hand, I found the TV remote. The screen flickered to life. A cruel joke orchestrated by fate. There it was, the Cipriani ballroom, all sparkling chandeliers and glamour. April, dazzling in a designer gown, accepting her trophy. And in the front row, our parents, their faces incandescent with pride. They were a perfect, happy tableau. I was alone in a cold room, broken. I couldn't even wipe the tears away. The IV tethered my arm. Outside, the rain continued to fall, and Manhattan's lights glittered, indifferent. Nurse Maria entered, her kind eyes taking in the scene on the TV, the tears on my cheeks. She wordlessly turned down the volume. "Will your family be here soon?" I shook my head. She simply nodded, her expression softening with understanding that felt like a salve. "I'll start your premedication. Just rest." As the drugs seeped into my veins, pulling me toward a numb haze, I stared at the ceiling. For the first time, I saw my life with brutal clarity, the years of quiet diligence, the suppressed emotions, the endless seeking of approval that would never come. The journey to the operating room was a parade of passing fluorescent lights, and in their sterile glow, I made a vow. This surgery would not just mend bones, it would be the end of one life, and the beginning of another. I awoke to the dim, gray light of dawn. The night nurse confirmed the surgery was a success. The pain was a distant throb beneath a heavy blanket of medication. Then, my phone rang, shattering the silence. 7:15 a.m. The screen flashed. "Mom." I answered, my throat dry. "Caroline, where are you? Still at the hospital?" Her voice was shrill, panicked. I heard my father's agitated rumble in the background. "Yes, the surgery is over. We're coming now, right now. April to April." Her words dissolved into ragged sobs. My father seized the phone. "We're on our way. This is important." "But visiting hours don't." "That doesn't matter," he shouted, a sound so foreign it jolted me awake. Before I could process their panic, the hospital room TV provided the answer. Breaking news. The banner read, "Major fraud uncovered on Wall Street. Rising star April Wilson arrested." The screen split, a glorious shot from last night's ceremony beside a live feed of my sister in a designer suit, head bowed, hands cuffed, being escorted into a precinct. Alleged to have misappropriated approximately $20 million in client funds for luxury cars, overseas travel, and an extensive jewelry collection. The world went silent. The award, the radiance, the pride, it was all a beautiful, expensive lie. My door burst open. My parents stood there, utterly unraveled. My mother's award show makeup was streaked by tears. My father's usual composure had collapsed into despair. They looked at me, their reliable, steady, honest daughter, the one who was always there. "Caroline," my father breathed, his voice broken. "Please, you have to help." My mother's hand, cold and trembling, closed over mine. "The bail is set at $3 million, my father said, his voice cutting through the sterile hospital air. "We're leveraging everything, but it's not enough. We need your savings." My savings, the $1.8 million I had meticulously saved over a decade of diligent work and careful living. My security, my future. "We can't let her go to prison, Caroline." Mother's cry was raw, hysterical. "She's so young, her life will be ruined. If you provide your savings, we can manage the rest," father stated, his tone reverting to its familiar, commanding certainty. It was no longer a request, but an expectation. I didn't look at them. Instead, I focused on the ceiling, listening to the methodical drip, drip, drip of the IV. "Why didn't you come last night?" My question was quiet, but it sucked all the air from the room. "We told you." April's ceremony, mother began, then faltered, the irony of the excuse now laid bare. "You chose a celebration of a lie over being with your daughter for surgery." My voice was steady, a stark contrast to the tremor in my heart. Every achievement of mine was met with a nod. Every minor triumph of April's was a parade. And last night, you made your choice perfectly clear. "This is not the time for this." Father's voice boomed, a weapon he'd always used to end conversations. "Will you stand by your family or not?" The door opened. Nurse Maria stood there, a guardian of sanity. "I need you to leave, now. My patient requires rest." As they were ushered out, mother turned at the door, her final plea a whisper. "Think of your sister. Her life is in your hands." The silence they left behind was a physical relief. Maria checked my vitals, her presence a calm anchor. "Your recovery is what matters now, not anyone else's." I nodded, the truth of her words settling deep within me. The family I had spent a lifetime trying to earn love from had just asked me to bankrupt my future to clean up a mess of their own making. The news droned on, unraveling the glittering myth of April's life, and in the quiet of that room, the last vestiges of my old life unraveled with it. 2 weeks later, I leaned heavily on my cane as the elevator ascended to my parents' Upper East Side apartment. Lawyer James Murphy, a steady and trusted presence from my firm, stood beside me. I would not face the lion's den alone. Mother opened the door. The perfectly composed matriarch was gone, replaced by a woman eroded by worry. "Caroline, you brought a lawyer?" Her voice was thin with dread. Father waited in the living room, the panoramic view of Central Park behind him a symbol of a life I now saw as a gilded cage. "I see you've brought counsel," he said, his irritation immediate. "This is a legal matter," I replied, my voice even. "It requires legal expertise." I lowered myself onto the sofa, my leg throbbing, a dull reminder of the night they weren't there. Father shoved a document across the glass table. "The defense report. The misappropriation is closer to 25 million. Mother stifled a sob. "But if we can just get her out on bail," she implored. "Paying bail doesn't erase her crimes," I said, looking directly at her. "It only delays the inevitable. She needs to face consequences to have any hope of rehabilitation." "This is no time for vengeance, Caroline," Mother cried. "Vengeance?" A hollow laugh escaped me. "This is about justice and reality, something you've both consistently avoided where April is concerned." "Let's put the past behind us," Father said, switching to a tone of false conciliation. "We need to unite as a family." The word hung in the air, toxic and meaningless. "Did you ever make me feel like I was part of this family?" I pushed myself up, ignoring the searing pain in my leg. "You basked in the reflected glow of her fraud. You chose her illusion over my reality. And now you have the audacity to ask me to fund her escape? You don't want a family. You want a financier. You've become so cold," Mother whispered, her eyes shining with tears. "No," I said, my voice finally finding its true strength. "I've finally become clear-eyed." Murphy stepped forward. "From a legal standpoint, paying this bail is inadvisable. The charges are escalating: investment fraud, forgery, tax evasion. The sources of any funds used will be scrutinized. You would be implicating yourselves, and Miss Wilson would be implicating herself in the subsequent investigation." "What are you suggesting?" Father's face darkened. "I am not going to be an accessory to April's crimes," I stated. "In fact, I have decided to provide a formal statement to the district attorney's office, detailing everything I know." Father shot to his feet. "You would air our dirty laundry? You would shame this family?" "The shame isn't in the exposure, Father. It's in the actions. It's in the favoritism, the neglect, and the willingness to commit financial suicide for a daughter who committed actual crimes. That is the shame." As Mother broke down completely, Father took a menacing step toward me. "After everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us?" I stood my ground. "Without the cane, without them." "Love shouldn't come with a repayment plan," I said softly. "That was your first and greatest mistake." "Get out," he roared. "You are no daughter of mine." A profound peace settled over me. "You're right. I haven't been for a very long time." In the elevator, Murphy was silent for a moment. That took immense courage. "It took a car accident and a broken leg," I said, a genuine smile touching my lips for the first time. "But I'm finally free." September 2024. The early autumn sun glinted off the new sign on the office building near Brooklyn Promenade, Wilson and Associates Accounting. 6 months had passed. My leg had healed. My life had been rebuilt. "Good morning, Caroline." Sarah, my receptionist, who had followed me from my old firm, greeted me cheerfully. "Morning, Sarah. Did you see the news?" I had. A brief segment on the morning news. April had been sentenced to 15 years. The full extent of the fraud had surpassed $30 million. My father's company, tainted by the association, was teetering on the brink of collapse. I felt a distant pang of sorrow for the life she had thrown away, but no guilt. They had made their choices. I had finally made mine. Miss Wilson, Jessica, now my junior associate, approached with a file. The materials for the 10 o'clock meeting, and the pro bono project for the women's shelter is ahead of schedule. This was my success now, not skyscrapers or stock tips, but a business of my own making, built on integrity, and a portion of our profits dedicated to helping others. Caroline, Mrs. Johnson stood in the doorway, a vibrant bouquet from her garden in her hands. For your 6-month anniversary. I accepted the flowers, their scent a promise of simple, real things. Thank you. Dinner last Sunday was wonderful. Instead of strained family gatherings, my new traditions were potlucks with neighbors and friends, the family you choose. As I settled at my desk, a new photo frame sat beside my monitor. It was from our firm's opening party, my team, Mrs. Johnson, new friends, all smiling, their warmth genuine and unforced. Outside, the East River sparkled, and the Brooklyn Bridge stood resilient against the sky. It was no longer a place of trauma, but a symbol of strength. My phone lit up. A message from Murphy. April has requested to see you. I typed my reply without hesitation. Some bridges are meant to be burned. I'm not looking back. In the evening, as I watered the herbs on my office balcony, I watched the lights of Manhattan begin to twinkle. Their world of illusion and false glory felt a universe away. Life takes unexpected turns, but if you hold on to who you are, a new path always opens. Mine had. I reached for my gardening gloves. Tomorrow was another day, and I was ready for it.